Can tell me about Memphis.
From the boardroom to the streets.
Nah, I already know.
With Mike from Memphis, man. Together, we can fix things. Really?
When you say, I want to be treated fairly, and I want a voice.
Yeah.
I want
He saw things weren't fair, so he chose to run for mayor. You get up and do something when you really care. It's Memphis 360.
I'm with you. In the meantime,
It's Memphis 360.
in the meantime, in between time, we got folks shooting people up out the frame. Anybody said a word. We've become
Man.
accustomed to people dying in this city.
Yeah. It's Memphis 360.
Turning the TV on and the news and see our loved ones and see young people that are out of control. And now you see, okay. We talk about incarceration. We talk about the youth. We talk about giving them the ability. We talk about investing in young people and investing in the community. See, I hate ignorance. I hate when people make decisions about things and they make statements and they haven't done their research.
How can you fix the problem when you don't even know what the problem is?
We need some help in this city.
It's Memphis 360.
See, I hate ignorance.
It's Memphis 360. Man.
And good evening. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Memphis 360, the television show. We say we like to go from the boardroom to the streets, and guess what? We continue to do just that. We got a lot going on here in the city of Memphis this week. We got, first of all, Kojic is here in the city. We want to welcome all of the Saints to the city of Memphis. They're projecting that there are going to be about 30,000 individuals that are going to come to the city of Memphis for Kojic, the convention that's being held here, and it's supposed to generate approximately $20+ million. They're infusing, hold on people, listen. They are infusing $20+ million into the economy in the city of Memphis. So that means hotels are going to be booked. And you know the Saints love to eat. So they out there eating all that good food at those good restaurants. You know what I mean? The Saints also love to shop. So they out there, you know, shopping. I had the opportunity to get down there today to kind of see what's going on, because I can look out my window at 201 Poplar and see all of the activity going on down there. And it has been very active. And I want to give a kudos to the Memphis Police Department. They are posted up out there, y'all. They are protecting those Saints. They got police on every corner. They got blue lights flashing, you know, and rightfully so. They don't want, if they know what's good for them, we don't want the Saints to leave here with any bad taste in their mouths for any bad incident that has occurred here in the city of Memphis. And I hope that everybody is respecting the Saints and showing the Saints good Memphis Southern hospitality. That's what we need to be doing here in the city of Memphis. And look, Kojic is nothing but a good thing coming here to the city of Memphis, being that this is where Dr. Mason actually started Kojic. So therefore, rightfully, they bringing it back home, and that is an outstanding thing here in the city of Memphis. We got Kojic going on. We got basketball games going on. We got, I want to send a shout out to the veterans. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and the gentleman sitting next to me is, and I was going to introduce him, is Mr. Thomas Burrell. Are you a veteran?
Yes, sir. I'm a Vietnam vet.
Oh, you a real veteran then.
Yeah.
You a real vet. I'm a kitty vet.
I'm also a Buffalo soldier, member of the Buffalo Soldiers.
I remember the Buffalo Soldiers. Yeah, buddy. They were the ones who actually tamed the West when they
right.
say a lot of other people did, but them Buffalo Soldiers were known to be fierce fighters, fierce warriors, individuals that endured the climate. I mean, just all kinds of things they did. And if you read the history, and I read the history of the Buffalo Soldiers, if you read the history, they are renowned and they were revered actually by the Native Americans at that particular time. And they did a lot of good things to secure the West. But back to the veterans. I am an Army vet. And what branch were you in, sir?
Army.
Were you?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Devil dogs in the house. Devil dogs. We don't want to hear. No.
Okay.
Semper Fi. My brother was a Marine. Semper Fi to you guys that are out there, you guys that were in the Navy, you guys that were in the Air Force. We just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. All that you have contributed and done for this country.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Hey, now we're going to get to Mr. Thomas Burrell. We got Mr. Thomas Burrell who is here, and Mr. Thomas Burrell is the president?
Yes.
He is the president of the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association, the BFFA. And Mr. Burrell has been here before a couple of months ago because they're working on some things to help black farmers all across the United States. Well, first of all, tell them a little bit about yourself, since you're a veteran and all that good stuff. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you here again, Mike, for allowing us to privilege your platform, 360,
Yes,
Memphis
sir.
360. And we appreciate you for recognizing, first and foremost, the Levites and the priests, the saints,
Oh,
as it were.
here we go.
And being in the great city of Memphis, and more importantly, the veterans, of who you were one.
Yes, sir.
You were first sergeant, weren't you?
No, sir, I was a warrant officer.
You were a warrant officer, okay.
Yes, sir.
But at any rate, we thank you for your services to the country as well.
Well, thank you.
But I was in the Army, spent 3 years in the military.
Okay.
One of which was in the Southeast Republic of Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
1969 and 1970. But at any rate, I am also now the president of the Black Farmers and Agriculturalist Association. We are based here in Memphis, Tennessee, downtown, as it were, 287 Madison Avenue.
Wow.
And Mike, we have members, though, throughout the United States, Alabama, North Carolina. Interestingly enough, we have members in Chicago and LA and New York. They are the sons and daughters, the heirs, as it were, the descendants of black farmers.
Right.
Those who are in a position to receive the generational wealth from the hands, the labor, the sweat, and the tears of those who helped to work the soil.
Right.
Just if I might, I think it was a quote by Daniel Webster who said, "The cultivation of the earth is the most important labor of man." So here again, African Americans have contributed, farmers and landowners have contributed to the greatness of this United States of America. And I am proud to represent that group that we call the members of the Black Farmers and Agriculturalist Association.
Right, right. But tell us a little bit about you, Mr. Burrell. You grew up in this area, correct?
I grew up in Tipton County, Tennessee, which is also the home of Isaac Hayes.
Okay.
I grew up and came along, as I said, during the Vietnam era. I spent, Michigan was kind of like our second home. So my family went from the cotton patches, as it were, to the auto patch. But, and I moved away as well and lived in that part of the world for a long, long time, and then came back to the family business in the mid-70s and got back into the business of farming and have been in agriculture on some level, processing, growing, logistics, importing, exporting. I've been involved in agriculture on some level for the last 50 or 60 years.
Wow. All I did was pick the little cotton.
Okay.
No, but you know, my family, a lot of them come from down around Cleveland, Mississippi. So
Is that Bolivar County?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
And we would go down there. My grandmother, I was raised for a period of time by my grandmother.
Okay.
And we would go down to Cleveland, and she would actually pick the cotton. I would actually ride on her 23-foot bag.
Her bag, her sack.
I would ride on her I don't want to, look, I wasn't picking cotton back then. But I did eventually end up picking cotton as I grew because they made a cotton sack out of a burlap bag.
That's right.
You remember?
remember.
They made a cotton sack out
Get
of
you started early.
out of burlap bag, and I would follow her through the cotton fields.
Wow,
Because
okay.
a lot of people say, Mike, you ain't picked no cotton. And I say, yes, I did. Even though I was a kid, you know, that's when they went to the cotton fields, you went to the
Everybody.
cotton
That's
fields.
right. It was a family
And
business.
Initially, like I said, I rode on her 23-foot bag, and she carried me through the cotton fields. But as I grew, they made a little cotton sack for me out of a burlap potato bag.
Okay.
And I would follow her through the cotton fields.
We
But
otherwise refer to that as a croaker sack.
Kroger sack. You know, but that was some of the best time of my life, Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Burrell.
yeah.
You know, we would go out to the
You
peanut
establish
patch,
values.
pick peanut,
Yeah.
go out to the peanut patch, dig up peanuts, go dig up our own potatoes, go to the watermelon patch, go to the, you know, pick the berries off the trees. We would slaughter the hogs, you know, because we had a smokehouse and all of that good stuff.
Self-sustaining.
Make some fresh crackling.
You know something about
Hey,
crackling bread?
don't mess with me. You know, and people are like, no, you did, Michael.
Oh, yeah.
Michael,
I
you
still
just
love crackling
you just
bread.
seem to be. No, I'm telling you, had the outhouse and you
Okay.
know all that good stuff. But that was some of the best living.
Okay.
And when it came to families and family being together, you know, because you know in that environment, in that atmosphere, everybody was there and. You know, everybody took care of it.
And they watched one another. So you were always under the supervision of a grown-up, whether it was your immediate family or somebody else. And that helped to shape our respect for individuals. And not only respect for individuals, but respect for law.
But I also say that because as we transition into what Mr. Burrell was talking about, there were also individuals back then. He talked about generational wealth and how individuals, you know, had land passed on them from one landowner to another over generations. And back then, my people, they were sharecroppers.
Oh, okay.
You know, they didn't own the land.
Okay.
They actually farmed the land for somebody else.
Somebody
but they
else.
allowed them to live on the land.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, so what has transpired? I've been seeing all of these ads all over social media in regards to the black farmers. So that seems to be a big deal right now.
Well, keep in mind, this government has, over the last 20 or 25 years, Mike, is making an effort to right some of the wrong that it perpetrated against individuals, to include an example. Your parents were sharecroppers probably because even though they had the skill sets to manage their own land, but they probably couldn't get loans. So, and that was by design so that you would work for someone else. Agriculture, as we said, has been the foundation economy for almost every civilization.
Right.
And so it was during the first, our acquaintance to this country was steeped in agriculture and still is today, to the extent that we still own land.
Right.
And what we're getting ready to do is continue to make people aware of these benefits,
Okay.
these programs, and to help them to fill out whatever paperwork is necessary so their ancestors, those who were discriminated against, whether they own land or were sharecroppers, as you have to note it, may still be entitled to benefits.
Okay.
This is a good time. When we talk about reparations, reparations is what reparations does. At the end of the day, if the government is going to compensate you for a wrong, that's the form of reparations.
Right.
So now we're up to, over the last 20 years, Mike, the third lawsuit whereby this government is pumping billions of dollars
Yes.
into the hands of black farmers,
Right.
black landowners,
Right.
and those who were discriminated against, to include sharecroppers.
Oh, wow.
So you may need to look into it. You may have a claim that you may need to file for the benefit of your grandmother.
Just to clarify this, my mom and dad, they didn't live on the farm. My uncles and some of my aunts, they were the ones. My parents migrated to the city of Memphis.
Okay.
But some of my aunts and other relatives were still down in that area, and we used to go down and help them out.
Precisely.
Yes, sir.
Well, here again. And what we're getting ready to do is hold a meeting here in the city of Memphis. We've been traveling all over the country holding meetings, but on the 20th of November of this month, we're going to be in Memphis at the Holiday Inn Conference Center, which is located at 3700 Central Avenue, across the street from the University of Memphis.
Okay.
Yes. And we're going to be talking about these lawsuits. And unfortunately, there is a component to this particular lawsuit that is disturbing to this association.
Okay.
And that is, you talked about heirs, you talked about a legacy. Unfortunately, unlike the previous lawsuits, what we call Pickford 1 or Pickford 2, the government now is denying the beneficiaries, the heirs, the children, from filing a claim on behalf of a deceased relative. And we are saying that that is basically not only unconstitutional, it is ungodly. The Bible says you ought to leave something for your children's children. Our Constitution is steeped in making promises and guarantees, for that matter, for individuals who, if you're a citizen of this country, you have what we refer to as an inalienable right.
Yeah.
That is a right that no man, no government, no state can take away from you. And in 1866, if you don't mind, the year after the 13th Amendment was passed, Congress recognized that African Americans were now citizens, and the first civil rights that we received was was a property right, the right to inherit property, the right to purchase, to lease, to hold, to convey, and sell real and personal property.
Okay.
Now here we are 150 years later, and a government agency, unfortunately under a Democratic administration, is saying, wait a minute, we're not going to allow the heirs to benefit. That's ungodly. That's unconstitutional. So this association, we filed a lawsuit, which is what we do. We advocate, we argue, we plead, we stand in the gap for our members. So we have a lawsuit in federal court, and we're hoping the federal court will make the Department of Agriculture, and particularly its Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, do the right thing, as it were, and recognize the inherent, inalienable right of an heir to participate in a lawful proceedings for the protection of person and property, as the Civil Rights Act will say, as is enjoyed by white citizens.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you this. So you're having this meeting in Memphis on the 20th of November. So why Memphis?
Well, Memphis, basically, we're holding Memphis meetings all around the country.
Okay.
We've been to Arkansas. We have been to Alabama. We've been in South Carolina, Texas, Georgia. We're going all over the country because, as we said, we have members all over.
Right.
It's just that 2 weeks from now, on the 20th,
It's time for Memphis.
It's time for Memphis. We
Okay.
have not had a meeting, particularly with respect to the black farmers lawsuit.
Okay.
Now, we've been meeting in Tennessee and in Memphis, particularly as it relates to the Blue Oval City.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, regarding the Blue Oval City, everybody has recognized the importance of the heirs of property owners to come together to collaborate for the benefit of taking advantage of these other opportunities that are coming to town from the automobile industry in general and Ford Motor Company in particular. But now, to paraphrase the gospel, our blessings, Mike, are overtaking us. The prayers of our ancestors, your grandmother, who prayed from those cotton fields, those peanut patches, those watermelon patches, 150, 200 years ago, who said, Lord, if you don't do it for us, one day do it for our children. And they rested in the notion. They knew that they were going to not be compensated, but they were praying that their sons and daughters and their grandsons and daughters would receive the fruit and the benefit of their labor.
Come on. You know, this is a lot. And I definitely hope that a lot of the individuals in Memphis, around Memphis, will take advantage of this opportunity because, you know, it's just like with voting to me. So many people sacrifice so much so that you would have the opportunity to vote. That's why it's so important to me, and I pass that on to my children. And I would hope that individuals in the metro area and wherever else, if you have missed the meeting and you have not obtained the information that may be valuable to assist you and your family in acquiring what is due you, then you definitely need to come to this meeting on the 20th of November that's going to be held at the Holiday Inn. Beautiful, wonderful hotel right across from the University of Memphis. As a matter of fact, I passed it about 30 minutes ago on my way here to the studio tonight, and they have a lot of good functions over there, but you definitely need to be a part of this or partake of this, or like you said, I think even when you said last time when it pertained to the Blue Oval initiative, that, you know, a lot of people don't know that they are entitled to some of this funding. And you're only going to know if you are brought up to speed and you acquire the information to be a part of it. How much money have they set aside to be able to do this?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, this administration has set aside, of course, billions of dollars. They set aside $2.2 billion specifically to compensate black farmers and their heirs. Notice what I said. Congress specifically set aside $2.2 billion to compensate farmers, landowners, sharecroppers, and their heirs.
Right.
The problem is now that Congress, that first body, as we know, the legislators, they've done their job. We're not arguing for the sufficiency or inadequacy of the lawsuit. We're willing to accept the $2.2 billion.
Right.
This is the third lawsuit.
Wow.
So there was about $2.2 billion in 1999. There was another $2 billion, as it were, in 2012.
Wow.
And that's why we said now those prayers are being answered, Mike. Because a lot of people, your grandmother in particular, my grandmother, could have never imagined
Right.
that the day would come
Right.
when they were living under Jim Crow.
Right.
They were living under black codes. They were living under the threat of the Ku Klux Klan, that they would be compensated to the tune of billions of dollars. It was unheard of.
Right.
But God was answering their prayers. And the sad thing about it is, those of us who are the beneficiary of those prayers,
You better stop.
don't know
Stop
that
it.
this money is out there.
Right.
So our blessings are overtaking us, sir. And whatever else we need to do is make sure that our parents, mothers, fathers, aunts, and aunties, who were discriminated against, receive their pro rata share, which is $50,000. Now they are gone. So therefore, the heirs at law, the children, the descendants, would be eligible for this money. And therein lies the problem here. Under Mr. Vilsack, he is saying, I'm not going to pay the heirs. When you look at, you talk about a minute ago to your point about watching television and you seeing all of these advertisements for the Camp Lejeune scenario. You and I have been in the military. We weren't Marines, but the Camp Lejeune plant facility, they're paying billions of dollars. Mesothelioma. Asbestos.
Wow.
Monsanto. And every single one of those settlements, it is assumed that some of the victims are deceased.
Yes.
So therefore, you're going to pay the heirs, the children. Why is it now, with this lawsuit with black farmers, hit, when it's time to pay black folk?
What are you trying to say?
Hello?
What are you trying to say?
Now
Mr.
you're not going to pay the heirs. That's a slippery slope, sir.
Oh, okay.
That's frightening.
Okay.
Okay? So what we're simply saying, does that mean now that the house that grandmama and granddaddy left me, I got to move out of it because I'm an heir?
Oh, wow.
The farm that they left me, if it's an heir, that means I have to move?
No.
We can't allow
That's inherited.
That's inherited.
Yeah.
And that is an inalienable right.
That is
so it's ungodly for anyone to talk about not giving the proceeds of an inheritance to the person who is entitled to the inheritance. This is un-American. And here again, but it shows that more than anything, this is how things happen, this slippery slope. And we are hoping and praying that the African-American community will not, and particularly the leadership might, will not allow this type of shocking, shall we say, monstrous type of settlement to be visited upon the African-American community.
I see this says that the black farmers in Alabama and across the nation say that they're owed more than $2 billion.
Yes, we are. Notice what I said. The government is paying out in dribs, as it were, and drabs. They paid $2 billion in '99. They paid another $2 billion in 2008 and 2012. Now they're paying a third $2 billion, as it were. What we're simply saying, you're right. There is no way that $5-6 billion is adequate to compensate folks when you admit, USDA, that they've lost over $340 billion with the B in land. In 1910, Mike, we owned over 20 million acres of land.
340
billion. There are reports that African Americans have lost over $320 billion in land over the last 100 years. Now, here's what's not included in that figure. That doesn't include the houses that we abandoned in the city of Memphis. Hello. The houses that we abandoned in the city of Detroit and in Chicago and in St. Louis. I can go on and on. It's time for the African Americans, sir, to wake up and say, wait a minute. There is a Michigan version of taking land, just like there was this Mississippi version. The pattern is the same. When black folk either establish themselves in agriculture, we're going to dispossess them of the land. When they move to Flint and move to Detroit and move to New York and Chicago, there is another form of dispossessing them. So we are losing property, key phrase. When we add up the value of all the property that we've lost in Detroit, Philadelphia, New York, Mississippi on the farm, Tennessee on the farm, it's close to $1 trillion. Now, to your point, will $5 billion compensate us for that? Of course not. But we have to start somewhere.
Okay. Ooh, this is a lot. This is a lot to consume. And you're holding these awareness meetings. So what are you going to be telling these people at these meetings? You know, why should I drive all the way from Senatobia, Mississippi, or Oxford, Mississippi, or from Jackson, Tennessee, or from Covington, or Ripley, or wherever? Why should I drive to this meeting? And when I get to the meeting, what am I to expect?
When you get, why should you drive? You should drive because here again. Good example. Let's go back to your point, your grandmother. You said she worked in the field. She couldn't drive on an October day in a November because the man wouldn't let her drive. Okay? She couldn't come to a meeting on November the 20th at a conference center at a Holiday Inn in an air-conditioned facility. She couldn't come to could not have gone. Now, if they made the sacrifice then, okay, by working in the fields, and their labor created land and property, which is generational wealth for my generation, the least I can invest in is 2 hours driving one of my 5 cars to a meeting where there's coffee and tea and one of my 5 cars.
You know, but we are a whole lot better off than we were.
Now, if we can't make a 2-hour sacrifice, and by choosing which one of my 5 cars I'm going to go to a meeting, who can? Grandmama and granddaddy Neum paid for this, sir. And if we don't take advantage of it, their suffering, their labor would have been in vain. And that's one reason why we ought to come to the meeting.
So when I get to the meeting, what am I to expect? What are you going to be informing me of? I don't want all of the agenda of the meeting, but what can I expect, and what are you going to inform me of?
What we want to inform you of is just that. If there is going to be generational wealth, generational wealth must be attached to someone in a previous generation. What we want to do is to show these attendees, these current members, current participants, that you ought to now be able to file a claim on behalf of your mother, your father, your grandparent, to establish an estate for them. This lawsuit may be the only amount of money that they will have received. You talked about your grandparents were sharecroppers. There is no way they would have been eligible for a $50,000 settlement. But if they can show that they were discriminated against, this may be the estate. Now, when we start talking about reparations again, whether you agree with it or not, but it's going to be easier for a person who have already established an estate for a person who was around 50 or 60 years ago.
Okay.
Now you have a record. You have an archive of my grandmother, as you noted, you have it in your head. She picked cotton. She picked peas.
Yeah.
Now what we want to do is to transfer that information that we have in our heads now to paperwork. And that's where an organization like BIFA comes in.
Okay.
We want you to fill out a claim. So now you can articulate.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
And put that down so we can archive it.
Okay.
And therefore, if another lawsuit, and these lawsuits are coming around, there are other benefits, all kinds of benefits that the government now is recognizing.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Finally.
Finally.
Okay.
So therefore, we need to establish at some level that these individuals existed. And as we said, their settlement, this settlement may be the only money that they will have received to establish that estate.
Wow.
We owe them that. That's why we ought to come.
Okay.
And that's what we ought to be looking for. And more importantly, the third thing is, you said something that's very important. Those of us who are around now, Mike, those of us who are in our 50s and 60s and 70s, we have seen two worlds,
Yeah.
okay? We were born late enough till we saw grandmama picking cotton.
Yeah.
We were born early enough to see our grandchildren with remotes and cell phones. Your
Too many.
grandmother,
Too many.
thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Your grandmother died before the cell phones got here, and your children were born after the cotton sacks were over.
Yeah.
This generation,
Yeah.
those of us who are alive, we can look back at the grandmother era and the grandchild era. If we don't bridge the gap, as we say, it is incumbent upon this generation. We are a unique generation. There's some things that if we don't do them, they won't get done, and the circle will be broken, sir.
Wow.
We owe both generations. So in other words, we have to come to the meeting to make sure that what happened to our grandparents can now accrue to our grandchildren. And that's generational wealth 101.
I see you filed a motion in federal court asking the judge to determine that the application was arbitrary, and you're asking that they extend the deadline, which is currently, well, not the deadline, but extend the application deadline from October the 30th to January of 2024. How did that go?
Well, it went well. We filed a lawsuit. We don't want to brag about having to sue anybody.
Right.
But that's just one of our rights. Okay.
Well, that's what the court system is for.
That's what the court. Your grandmother couldn't have sued. She was not able to go into the court system there in Bolivar County and sue the man who was cheating her out of the crop. That's why we call it sharecropping. It was, shares are not bad. We just didn't get our share of the crop. People work on shares. Corporate America, that's what executives want. We want a share of the proceeds. So therefore, she couldn't sue, even though the laws were on the books, because we had black codes. We had the Ku Klux Klan that intimidated people. So here again, we are now in a position that if a person is depriving us of a constitutional right, we can now take them to court and sue for damages. More importantly, we want, in our particular case, when we saw this 40-page application, we knew there was something inherently wrong. It does not take 40 pages, Mike, to pay a person for discrimination that you admitted that you perpetrated.
We got all this fine print, though, you know. It's hidden in the fine print.
It's hidden in the fine print. Most of our folk can't read, fine or otherwise.
Yeah.
So here again, the 40-page application is, for all intents and purposes, designed to ask the same question 10 different ways and give me 5 different ways to deny you. And we're saying that's arbitrary. Okay? Because you didn't use 40 pages in the first lawsuit. You didn't use 40 pages in the second lawsuit. I don't need 40 pages to fill out an application for the Camp Lejeune.
Right.
I don't need 40 pages for X and Y lawsuit, as the kids on the street would say, Mike. What's up with that?
Okay. Okay.
So that's one of the things that we are suing. But 40 pages notwithstanding, the most disturbing component of this application is even after 40 pages, you're not allowing an heir. There's nowhere in the 40 pages that an heir at law, that a descendant of a person who was otherwise done wrong can participate. That is the fundamental argument. We're saying that that violates one of the first tenets of civil rights in 1866 again. One of the reasons that we went from zero, we were property up until the 13th Amendment. We were property. Now, we were already farmers. We understood that we had the technical skills to acquire land, but lawfully and legally we couldn't.
Could not.
So then in 1866, 1 year after the passage of the 13th Amendment, Congress says, now you guys can buy land. You can inherit. You can lease. You can purchase. We call that the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Wow.
It was a property right. So then we went from zero property to 20 million acres.
Wow.
Because we already had the skill sets. We already had the big families. We had the children from Memphis. We were able to
work the land.
To work the land.
Right.
So then we acquired this $300 billion worth of property. So now what USDA is doing, though, with the discrimination, it is eroding away. It is the accumulative effect of discrimination means now we've gone from 20 million acres, we're down to 5 million acres. But we still believe that the value of that 5 million acres is worth at least $40 billion.
Yeah.
The key with that $40 billion is it is paid for. It is equity. That's another reason we need to come to the meeting. We have the resources, Mike, in our community.
Wow.
If we can pool those resources and create the type of infrastructure, financially speaking, we could create our own banks. We would be able to solve the problems of credit. So therefore, when an opportunity like Ford Motor Company hit, we're back full circle. When they come to town, when General Motors now moves back to Mississippi, when Toyota moves to Alabama, we now have the resources where we can create. We've gone from the cotton field now, we can become partners with the car industry.
Man, you create another Black Wall Street.
Precisely, sir. another Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Keep in mind.
Yeah.
And we have the potential to do that. And not only the potential, we have the skill sets, but most importantly, we have the equity, and it's in the land.
Wow. Hey, you guys really, truly need to come to this meeting. I'm saying if, in fact, you have, or you believe you have, or you know you have possibly been the heir or are the heir of individuals that have taken property and passed it on down through the family, and you don't know what you know, I find that, and we talked about this last time, a lot of individuals are heirs to property, but they left the land because they didn't want to work the land and they're living somewhere else. And I know individuals that still pay taxes on the property, on the land, and they're holding on to it, but they don't necessarily want to be on the land. And that's even transitioning over to even houses that are being inherited by individuals in the city, and they don't want to live in those houses or in those areas where the houses are. So they're either moving to other cities for other opportunities, or moving into the city for better opportunities, what they feel are better opportunities, or what have you, because they're not those types of individuals that want to work the land or live on the land. Like my wife, she's from Chicago, and I tried to get some land out in Tipton County, and she was like, "You're not taking me out there where there are no lights. I'm from Chicago. You're not gonna bury me in the backyard or something." And I was like, "Oh wow." We went out there one night when it was really dark. So that's just not a thing for her. You know, I love land. I love being out in the middle of nowhere. I love, please let me see you coming up my driveway. You know, I like that. I was looking for anywhere from 5 to 10 acres, and I found some good deals too back then, but She would not let me jump on them. But anyway, but if you are one of the individuals and you feel as though you may be in a position to whereas you can benefit from all of this, or you know someone, please pass it on so that they can actually come to the meeting on November the 20th at the Holiday Inn across from the University of Memphis. I had Miss Rogers out there. She directing, giving cues, all of that. And it's from 10 to 1. I caught that, Miss Rogers. It is from 10 to 1 at the Holiday Inn, University of Memphis. What else did you want to tell these guys? Because we're going to go ahead on and get out of here.
Okay. Well, here again, we appreciate you for allowing us to use your platform.
Yes, sir.
And there's an old saying that knowledge is power.
Yes.
And information is how you get it.
Yes.
We're not going to be able to empower ourselves until we can address and embrace the information. And it's unfortunate that we said that billions of dollars, it's not only in Black Farmers lawsuit. You got people today that missed the first payout, the second one will miss the third one. Well, if we how many other benefits have been available to our communities, but we missed them. We can no longer continue to miss these opportunities because we owe, as we said, the previous generation, we owe the next generation. So we would like for people to come to the meetings, join this association, join the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association. You can call our office at 901-522-8880. Come to this, these workshops and see, we offer other benefits as well. There are all kinds of grants, there are all kinds of loans. There are just so many other things that are available, but interestingly enough, we almost have to deal with the issues that are hot. And so we want people to come out, look at what we're doing, avail yourself to the information. And as we said, we owe it to both grandparents and grandchildren to stand in the gap. And we thank you, Mike, again, for allowing us to use this platform. You've been gracious with your time, and we appreciate you for your service to this country on this upcoming Veterans Day. And just see you again. Thank you.
You are always welcome, Ms. Burrell. Anytime you want to come back, you got some information you want to share, we'll be more than happy to accommodate you, because you're out here trying to definitely uplift individuals that have been wronged, number one. At the same time, educate the community. And that's one of the things that, you know, we definitely need in our society right now. There are so many wrong things and so many bad things that are going on out here in our society. And it's not just the city of Memphis, it's all over the United States and definitely in a lot of the major cities. So these are the type of things that can definitely help. You know, we don't try to bring people on here that's gonna jump up and down, scream, act crazy, do crazy things and different things like that. Our platform is to educate. As you can tell, we just had a lot of the politicians on here. I just had the individuals from the Memphis Police Association, because they're having elections as well. Congratulations to Matt Cunningham. He was elected as the president of the Police Association. Congratulations to John Covington. He was elected as the vice president of the Memphis Police Association. And congratulations to Jeremy White. He was elected as the Secretary Treasurer. So starting January the 1st, they're going to serve for 4 years. And as you know, I was the president of the Police Association for 10 years. I just have a message, and I want to tell those individuals it's a very critical time here in the city of Memphis, and it's paramount and very important how you continue and develop relationships with the community. I am a citizen within the community in the city of Memphis, and as I am out here in different forums, I hear all the time, we are not hearing from the police like we used to. Those relationships that used to be there are not there anymore. And I challenge this new administration to definitely try to make some inroads. When people are informed, as you talked about, when people are informed, they have a better understanding of what you're doing, where you're going, how you're going to get there, and that forms relationships and bonds. And that's one of the things I felt that I had when I was out at the association. I could probably go to any community good, bad, indifferent, because everybody ain't gonna always agree. But at the same time, at least you have an open dialogue, or you can reach out to people and touch them, talk to them, and they understand better. But anyway, congratulations to you guys. Congratulations to the individuals that run for all of the electoral offices, and they take office also in January. The mayor of the city of Memphis, Mr. Paul Young, all of the city council people that are going to take office. They are pulling petitions now for General Sessions Court clerk. And Clerk Brown has pulled a petition, and he is running again. I also see that there are other individuals that are starting to pull petitions as well. So we got that coming up. All right. So I just want to say thank you so much for all that you have done. Thank you for the veterans once again for the sacrifices that you've made, and to their families, because the families also made sacrifices as well. Until next time, same week. God, woo, it's been a long week, y'all. I apologize. Until next week, same time. Oh no, let me stop. I won't be here next week. I'll be up in Fort Detrick, Maryland. I have a cousin that's retiring from the Army. So I'll be up there next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And of course, the following week will be Thanksgiving weekend, which will be that Thursday, and I probably won't be here then as well. So I probably won't see you until November the 30th. But please be safe out here. Be safe. I didn't really talk about the crime, but as you know, crime is on the rise here in the city of Memphis. Everybody's being victimized. We're losing so many people here. Every time you turn the TV on, there's a death, there's a shooting, there's a homicide, there's a body found, there's a something. And unfortunately, those individuals that are committing crimes here in the city of Memphis, most of them are African American. Those individuals that are being victimized here in the city are African American. So stop pointing fingers at people. At some point, we have to take responsibility for what's going on in our communities, and we have to stand up, okay? And those individuals that are going into the city's administration, the council, and the mayor, you got your hands, you got your work cut out for you. I'm telling you. And I'm not going to say anything about anybody, and I'm going to give you an opportunity. I promise you. But if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do, you know Mike Williams is going to say what Mike Williams got to say, and so is Miss Pat Rogers. I see her down there shaking her head and co-signing. So, and that's what we do, you know, not to try to beat anybody up, but just try to keep everybody honest. We just want some honest people, and people that are going to be responsive to the citizens of this great city. So, until the 30th of November, be blessed, be strong, be encouraged, and we'll see you the 30th of November.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes, spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP